stage.
Anything for attention.
Yeah, yeah, right, yeah.
Wait till I show you the picture they took 3 years ago.
How did you do, Coach?
It was,
The mic is hot.
oh, thank you.
Any individuals? The mic is hot.
Oh, thank you. Oh, they can hear us.
Yeah.
At this time, please rise for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. Good evening. Welcome to the Zeeland East High School's Class of 2017 Commencement Ceremony. The Class of 2017 is academically gifted, athletically talented, and blessed with the most amazing personalities. These seniors have shined in the most difficult of times and have demonstrated incredible tenacity during their time in high school. Whether in the classroom, on the field, or in everyday events, the senior class has shown selfless support and endearing care for one another. Before we continue, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to a few people. Parents, guardians, relatives, and friends of today's graduates, thank you for your trust and support through your graduate schooling at Zeeland Public Schools. Next, I would like to thank the members of our Board of Education and our Zeeland Public Schools Central Office administrators. I am grateful for your continuous encouragement and guidance. To our elementary and middle school Zeeland Public School teachers and staff, you laid the foundation for learning for our students. We thank you for your hard work. I am very grateful for the faculty and staff at Zeeland East High School. You are the most incredible group of people. Thank you for the outstanding service you provide our students in school. I feel privileged to work alongside you. Also, a big thank you to the faculty and staff of Zeeland West High School for loving and working with our students. And finally, to our graduates, as you commence the next stage in your lives, I am confident that each of you will live a good, fulfilled life, full of joyous moments and lasting successes. Whether your post-secondary plans are to attend college, trade school, serve our country, begin employment in an area company, enter the mission field, or simply you do not know what you're going to do tomorrow, I challenge you to discover and strengthen the areas in which you do well and seek to address the areas you need to improve on. Have the courage to stand firm against any adversity you may face in your life and choose love and forgiveness in any situation that requires it. I truly wish all of you the very best. Parents, family members, friends, and community members, it is my distinct honor to welcome you to the celebration of these wonderful students. Mr. Maynard, please come up on stage. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce our class valedictorian. This student carries an impressive 4.57 GPA. That's impressive. He has taken 14 AP classes. That's ridiculous. His first AP class was AP Calculus as an 8th grader. If you saw him, he looked like a 7-year-old in that class. He also took 2 college classes as a sophomore. He's a National Merit Scholarship finalist, the president of our National Honor Society, our Student Senate Executive Board President, a member of the Zeeland High Players, and an overall good kid. He plans to attend Columbia University in the fall. Please welcome Mr. Michael Van Dynen.
Students, staff, graduating class, parents, family, friends, others, as a reward for the highest GPA in the Zeeland East class of 2017, I have been offered the wonderful opportunity to have yet another homework assignment. All jokes aside, I'm beyond honored to speak about my life experiences, and more importantly, our life experiences as the graduating class of 2017. Field days, fun nights, 100th days of school, Valentine's mailboxes, Halloween costume parades, Christmas parties, wax museums, bird teams, gold and brown teams, DC trip, and Mackinac. They all felt so united through the years. To be honest, I wish I could have given a valedictorian speech to you all 8th grade, but because after that we all sort of went our separate ways. It really is fun to look at our past, and it is indeed what made us us today. However, I don't like to dwell on it because, as the cliche states, we can do nothing about it. Thus, many valedictorian speeches focus on the future. After all, we are all going to universities, colleges, trade schools, straight into the work field, to serve God, in mission trips, to travel, to serve in the military, or are undecided. I know very well we all have wonderful potential because of the school from which we are all graduating. However, I don't like to dwell on the future either. We don't really have strong influences on our future. I'm sure that's not precisely what any of you wanted to hear. After all, many of you are about to go into massive amounts of debt, specifically investing in your future. Some of you may be shifting uncomfortably in your seats, thinking I'm making some sort of religious statement. I assure you I am not. I simply mean to say that while you all have little grasp on changing the future, you have every influence on your own present. I'd love to talk about the future if I were concerned our generation didn't think about the future enough. However, I think we think about it too often. We all have some ideal image of our future selves in our minds, short-term or long-term, that we preoccupy ourselves with in everything we do. While I can't speak as much for anxiety, I can say with confidence that we can definitely do something about our stress. They say don't dwell on the past because you can't change it. Well, that applies to the future too. If you stress over all you have to do to achieve your ideal image of yourself, you lose yourself to what you think you should do, not to what you can do. All you can really influence is now. And don't upset with yourself with what you think you should do if you are trying your hardest. because after all we can really do is try our hardest. We are about to be adults in a scary world full of expectations, accountability, and responsibilities. And it is crucial that we remember that there is nothing more we can do than try our best. That is who you should be. You are not the short-term goal or even the long-term goal you have set for yourself. You are you. Please celebrate your accomplishments and goals met, and take some time to grieve over your failures if necessary. But more important than ever, life is best lived in the moment. That being said, stay determined as well. You worked hard for 3 years to have senioritis this year. Work hard from here on out so you can have senioritis when you retire. Trying your best is an ideal equilibrium because when you underestimate yourself, guilt sets in. But when you overestimate yourself, stress sets in. Trying to warp the cliche that we shouldn't dwell on the past, I've circled back into yet another cliche. Stay true to yourself. Try your best. Cliches are very useful, but it appears we don't listen to them all the time. Speaking of paying close attention, I would like to take a moment to thank the teachers who have demanded our attention for 13 years. Heed the lessons they have taught you, curricular, extracurricular, philosophical, etc., and take it with you. They have taught you 1,000-fold more information and wisdom than I can impart to you in my short time allotted. From kindergarten to elementary school, to middle school, to high school, we have a wonderful faculty here, and I'm endlessly grateful for every single teacher I have ever had here. Lastly, thank you every non-graduate and non-faculty member who has helped me reach this podium today, especially my family and friends. And thank you all for allowing me the time to speak to you all. Have a wonderful future, and may it be as controllable as possible. And now, I am honored to introduce our superintendent, Mr. Cal DeKuyper.
Great job. Oh, really great job.
Thank you.
Michael.
Thank you.
Apparently we need to invest a little heavier into our honors medallions. Well, it is always dangerous to follow a 4.57. I never saw anything like that in my wildest dreams. But I have to tell you, the first time I met Michael, I did not like him. And there's a reason for that. You see, he was performing as the villain in the play, It's a Wonderful Life, a radio play, and he played the role of Mr. Potter. Well, if you are a thespian, you know that your job is to try to get your audience to engage into your character, and I think I engaged a little too deeply, and I took it personally, and at the end of that show, I said, boy, I don't know about this guy. And then I got to meet you in person. What a wonderful young man, but a compliment to you that I really was that deep into that performance. You did well, and all of you that were in that, thank you. I'd like to thank the Board of Education seated behind me, and I know that it appears to you that we are trying to be rock stars. We really aren't. We just can't see, and if I don't look to the upper right, it's because we can't. But shortly tonight we will be able to. To the Board of Education, thank you. If I asked any of these board members what is their best day and evening of the year, they would tell you it's right now. It's the opportunity to hand out diplomas, and they will be doing that shortly. I'd also like you to know that every single signature on your diploma is hand-signed. Every board member signed 426 diplomas. Now, those signed at the beginning might be a little more legible than those at the end, but they are hand-signed. If I look 234 this evening and 192 to your friends across the pathway last evening. Our board members will be introduced in person just a little bit later this evening as they hand out diplomas. Principal Kanoth, we thank you for joining our community. We are so happy that you are here. Congratulations on your first graduation with your first graduation class here at Zeeland East. Job well done. And I can tell you after just 1 year, she loves Zeeland as much as we do. Well, to our graduates tonight, this is all about you. And I don't know if you noticed when you walked in what this crowd looked like, but it is every seat in the house, on the hill, standing along the rails. And the only reason anyone is here is to see you walk across this stage. Now, I know we have speakers, but we are secondary to that. My advice is, it took you 13 years to get here to this moment, and it will just take you a few seconds to walk across this stage. So I ask you to just go slowly, take in the moment, remember that moment when you touch your diploma for the first time. Well, the jacket here, the real one over there. But remember that moment. And to parents, I'll give you a little cue as you try to get that photo. That's the photo that you want. The diplomas will be handed out right at the base of this ramp. And that's the photo that you're going to be looking for. Humility is a virtue here in West Michigan, but tonight you have the right to be proud, and I hope that you are. You were taught by a team of true professional teachers. They believe in a partnership with you. Your goals are truly their goals, but in the end, you had to do the work. They love it when you do well, and you did. A few moments ago, we witnessed one of my favorite sights of the entire school year, and that's that moment when the teachers make a tunnel and applaud for you. And that was genuine. Team over here, you are just such an awesome team, and friends and teachers, thank you for what you do. To the parents, just for a short moment, you see, back in the day, just a generation ago, we were graded on a bell curve. And today, you are graded purely against the standards and objectives. And today's standards and objectives are what used to be the elite level of a generation ago. And I am proud to tell you that every single one of you seated here today has reached that elite generation or elite level of a generation ago, and many of you are so far beyond it. Now, if you are one of those students here tonight that teachers had to push across this finish line kicking and screaming, and there are a few of you, you should also be proud because you too have reached that same elite level of a generation ago. And to you who struggled, I'll give you the same line that I used regularly with my mother. And Michael, you might understand this one a little more clearly now. Mom, I earned a 4.57. I added up all my grades and they added up to 4.57. Incredibly, and parents and community members, please do listen to this. This is worthy of applause. Every single one of these students here, 100% of the class of Zeeland East, has been accepted into some form of continuing education or experience after high school. Now, not all will attend next year. Some will put that off, some may never, but it is just important to know that they can when they want to. The motto of Zeeland Public Schools is learning for life. And this evening, as you cross over this stage into lifelong learning, I hope you are as proud of yourself as we are of you. In about an hour, you will be an alumni of Zeeland East High School. And as I conclude, for those in attendance here tonight who might not know a ZPS tradition, and I know your favorite tradition from me are snow days, but the second favorite tradition, I hope, are the Smarties candies that I like to hand out around the district. And sometimes I'm joined by your principals and Mr. Voss on the pathway on the coldest and rainiest of days. But I want the parents to know that our students are always so gracious, so thankful. Everyone takes one. Everyone is kind. There are so many that say, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. DeKuyper. Great to see you out here. Those are the kinds of people that we have. But I am amazed that you waited in a seemingly endless line, and I didn't understand why it was sometimes single file. Well, I always assumed that it was because Smarties make you smart, or it's cool to be smart. I recently caught on that it was used as an excused tardy for class. Some of your teachers over here tipped me off of that a few times. So clearly you were pretty smart before I handed those out. But as you leave tonight, I do invite you to take your last roll of Smarties with you. You don't need those, but it will just make my day. Class of 17, congratulations. Thanks for listening.
Good evening. My name is Shelby Suits, and I'm the senior class president. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you the president of the school board, Mr. Ron Scott.
Thank you, Shelby. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all of you for the accomplishments of being here tonight. I want to congratulate you for making it here, for being here, for doing the work to get here. I think that's so important. There's some other people I want to congratulate, and I know it's been said already tonight, but let's thank our teachers, our staff, and our administrators for all the effort that they do to go above and beyond, to stand in the pathway, to hand out Smarties. I didn't know that's what you did. But let's give them a hand and tell them thank you very much. You know, in addition to our high school teachers, we've benefited from good teaching from our elementary teachers, our middle school teachers. They gave us quality education. They gave you wonderful learning experiences. And we need to be thankful for the opportunity that we've been given, that we can build upon and go from here. We're not only thankful for our educators, we're thankful as a school board for our community, for the support that you provide. We're in the middle of the construction of the 2015 bond issue that you approved, and we want you to know how much we appreciate that. All the security systems are being implemented. There's been updates to each and every building that we have in the district. And one of the things that I think is most important to tell you is that we're ahead of schedule with our construction projects, and the most important thing is also that we're under budget. And I want to thank you for your support in projects like this. It makes our school a better, more quality education for our students. The local board of administration works with Superintendent Cal DeKuyper and our legislators in Lansing and in Washington, D.C. to support the programs that we provide at the school. And I want you to know on a regular basis, I get asked about these two high schools and that path that goes between those two high schools. And it gives me the opportunity to share about the one academic program that we have and the opportunity to take more courses, a variety of courses, than you might have if we hadn't done it that way. It wasn't me, it wasn't the generation that I was in, it was the generation before us, but we benefit from that. And that's a real blessing. One of the things you may not know is that we offered 19 different AP classes this year. That's a benefit that we didn't have before, which represents 1,000 courses selected by our student body. The other thing that we offer at Zeeland, a full range of vocational courses. And that's a rarity in today's academic programming, that we're able to offer that on our campus. I do have to brag that we have one of the finest fine arts programs in the state. And that's something that we could be thankful for. I heard that firsthand when we were looking for a superintendent, and every one of the candidates said, we've came over here and visited just to see your fine arts program. So you guys have benefited from some pretty good programs, and we want to thank you for that. And finally, I want to thank our teachers for the extra effort, not only going above and beyond in the classroom, but for continuing to come forth and say, I've got another idea, I've got another class, I've got another program that I'd like to develop and offer. I want to thank you for going above and beyond and doing that. That means a lot to us, and everybody benefits from that. So thank you for doing that. One of the things that's always important to me is that research shows us that extracurricular activities align themselves with higher academic achievement. And I'm always asking Superintendent DeKuyper, what's the percentage of students in our student body that are participating in extracurricular activities? And this last year it was 77%. Almost 80% of our student body is participating in extracurricular activities like the arts, the athletics, or the clubs, or technology. That's a really good thing because it gives us the opportunity to do more than just go to the classroom. As a father of 2 Zeeland graduates and 1 high school junior, I've seen the benefit of the extracurricular activities, not only in athletics, but in the arts programs. And I've really personally benefited from the leading that the teachers, the coaches, the directors have provided, and I want you to know how much we've appreciated that. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for participating, and I hope that it's benefited you as well. But tonight is all about you, graduates. It's about honoring you for achieving the completion of your high school education. And I want you to know that we want you to take the lessons you've learned tonight forward into the experiences that you choose to do after tonight. You may choose to continue your education. You may choose to go into the workforce. You may choose to serve our country. But whatever it may be, we want you to take these experiences that you've learned and use the God-given talents that God's given you to be a blessing to not only yourself, but to be a blessing to others. We want to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Hannah Masters, and I'm the Vice President for the class of 2017. This evening, I have the privilege to introduce our class speaker, Michael Reynolds, best known as Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds has taught AP Biology, Honors Biology, Chemistry, Intro to Anatomy, and many other science and health classes, along with being the advisor for the Science Club. He has greatly impacted many students in our class because of his devotion, patience, and commitment to not only helping us understand the difference between mitosis and meiosis, but to ensure that we truly understand what is taught during our hour we have with him. With his compassion and understanding, we not only view him as a well-respected teacher, but also as a role model who constantly shapes us and prepares us for our futures, which start after today. He has given us valuable tips from how to properly dissect a cat, all the way to teaching us how to handle some of life's biggest obstacles. I speak on behalf of our entire class that Mr. Reynolds is greatly admired for how much he cares for all of his students. He makes it a top priority to have his students understand the material, even if it means dedicating more of his time to help them. There have been more than enough times I've stayed after school hours just to learn a few veins and arteries, and he has made the time for me as well as many others. I vividly recall a time in class when one of my peers was having a rough day, and he took the time out of his hour to take a break from teaching the curriculum to ensure that everything was all right. It was in that moment I realized the kind-hearted and considerate person Mr. Reynolds is to all. His kindness impacts all of his students, creating a safe and positive learning environment. I am so grateful to have gotten the opportunity to spend my last year in high school as one of his students. I have grown as an individual, excelling in anatomy, as well as taking out various life lessons during my time in his class. It has been a great final year of high school, and believe it or not, I owe a lot of it to him for giving me an unforgettable classroom experience. From all of his quirky comments to the never-ending encouragement he gives his students, Mr. Reynolds is truly one of a kind. We are incredibly honored and excited Mr. Reynolds accepted our invitation to be the class of 2017's commencement speaker. Now, without further ado, please welcome our teacher, mentor, and above all, our friend, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you. Yeah, how do you not love her? She's awesome. So, thank you, Hannah, for your kind words. Thank you for the introduction. I'm glad you kept it kind of short, because I'll probably need about an hour. I'll just keep this going. I love speaking, so this will be great. Welcome, parents and families, honored guests, board members, staff, my esteemed colleagues, our administrators, Superintendent DeKuyper, and most of all, the class of 2017. Thank you so much for honoring me by asking me to share some words with you this evening. I want to just take a moment. I want each of you to just take a moment and look around. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful day. You are also beautiful. I look at you and I'm kind of amazed. Bright, shining faces. You look great. Enjoy this time. This is not a day to get wrapped up in thoughts about how do I look, or please don't let me trip as I cross the stage. I tried my best as well. Enjoy the moment that you've worked so hard to achieve. For the most of you, it was a given that you would graduate. In other cases, it maybe wasn't quite as much of a given. In any case, all of you have crossed the finish line, and we can all be proud. I see every one of you in the stands, and all their support, and all their love. Tonight you are the pride of Zeeland. So when I was asked to speak, all I could think was, oh boy, they've asked someone who can be a little awkward, does not always have a smooth delivery, someone who doesn't mind going off on rants in his own classroom, but who freezes up a little in crowds bigger than 30. I'm not great at estimating, but I think we're well past 30. I get to know my students and I'm comfortable with them. I can open up and I love it in the classroom. But get me in front of a couple thousand people and I'm not quite as comfortable, articulate, or eloquent. So I probably won't crack any jokes because I quite honestly can't remember any punchlines anyway. I may try to say something witty, but it probably won't come out as sounding very clever. Now, because I was a little nervous, I was reading How to Alleviate Anxiety. Preparation and practice are critical if one is asked to deliver a speech. I was so happy to have stumbled across this info at 11 p.m. last night. Yeah, that was my one attempt. All right. Another great piece of advice to deal with anxiety giving a speech is to imagine your audience in underwear. Really? Like, who thinks of this advice? To stare, I mean, all I want to do is just like stare straight down. Like, that's maybe the worst advice you can give. So I will try to be genuine, authentic, and do my best. After getting past the realization that I would be speaking, I asked myself, what is it that I could talk about that would be memorable? What could I say that would change their lives and they could use forever? The last 4 speakers at Zeeland East, in no particular order, have been Joe Guy, a certified political genius. Pretty sure his name is on the Declaration of Independence. He's amazing, still figuring out that time thing, but we also have Sean Jacob, comedian and master storyteller, all wrapped into one. In Sean's speech, there was a full-fledged plot development of characters. Wow. Julia Skaggs, AP Calculus, great conversationalist, witty, clever, a math guru. Mike Fenlon, unbelievable knowledge of physics, commands a room when he enters it, and a Zeeland East basketball coaching sensation. And then there's me, a science teacher who again is a little awkward and sometimes talks a little too fast when he gets excited, like maybe now. And on occasion, people say I sound a little bit like Bert from Sesame Street. Not even the cool one, Ernie. I'm the nerdy Muppet. Bert, he's long and thin. I'm tall and wiry, like we don't even look alike. Then I thought I could tie in some great quotes from greats. Gandhi, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, followed by Martin Luther King's like I have a dream, and then maybe just saying Einstein's E = MC squared, because, well, he's a science guy and has a great hairdo. Fact is, I don't think any of you will remember any of what I just said in a year, let alone 2 weeks, which leads me to ask, what has meaning? What can I say that has lasting value? I think it is when people try to speak from the heart. For me, it is when I open up and I'm transparent about how I feel about you and what you mean to me. I could talk about all your wonderful athletic achievements and awards, how the 2 Zeeland schools have been so dominant in many areas of their athletic endeavors, but honestly, school is more than athletics, right? We are here for academics and the more academic extracurriculars. So I could talk about the 79 students from Zeeland East who were honored the morning of May 19th for their impressive academic performances. Again, like athletics, this is an area where you excel and we should all be proud. But it still isn't ultimately why we're here. If today is done and your accomplishments are limited to GPAs, scholarships, degrees, and the hope of great financial gain, then the $128,000 that has been spent to graduate each and every one of you is probably somewhat a waste of money. So let me try to further explain why so many resources have been dedicated to graduating you from Zeeland East High School. It is pretty common for teachers to have students exclaim in class, and this may be one of you, how does this even apply to my life? When am I ever going to use this? How am I going to use this in the real world? My answer, are you serious? You'll probably use orbit electron clouds tomorrow, if I'm even saying it right. Okay, let's face it. Many of you are thinking, what is an electron cloud orbit thing again? In fact, studies indicate students retain about 5 to 10% of what they are taught. I aim high. I hope my students remember 20%, because that would be twice the average. As I think about it, 20% doesn't actually seem like a great goal, does it? What I can tell you is that I think we teachers, and probably your parents too, try to teach you how to problem solve, to think on your own. Your whole life long you will run into problems, adversity, and complex situations. There's so many things that will come your way that you'll have to be able to navigate. Yes, we may impart knowledge to you and create opportunities for you to apply the knowledge in the classroom. But the hope is not that you will someday be ushered into a back room somewhere and given a test that forces you to recall the great pieces of literature or Newton's laws of motion. The hope is that you will be able to build upon the information you've gained and use the analytical skills you have developed to tackle whatever it is you decide to tackle in this life. Hopefully, we have taught you to embrace the challenges of life and attack the problems you face. We have taught you to not fear the future, but to be able to overcome your failures. Failure is okay, fear is not. The hope is that by giving you tools and information, you will boldly change the world. Yet I realize that some of you will still raise questions like, yeah, but we haven't really dealt with the real problems. You teach me all this math, we learn about all these movements in history, all about English, and study the fine arts, but what have we really solved? How much are we really going to use this? The answer is I don't know. I don't know your future. I don't know the trail you're going to blaze. I don't know the incredible things you will become and passionate about in this world. I don't know the extraordinary people you'll become, but that's the beauty too, isn't it? Not knowing is what makes all of you beautiful mysteries. Essentially, my point is that we have prepared you for a journey. We have prepared you for destinations we cannot even imagine you might reach. We as a school system have equipped you with the skills and problem-solving abilities to face the unforeseen challenges ahead of you. The beauty of it is that each of you get to decide where your path ends up. Each of you will eventually find something that really piques your curiosity and lights a fire within you. It'll give you drive to go deeper. You'll get to go and make that difference. That's what we're hoping you do with your education. But it's not enough to just give you the information, is it? We can't just impart the material and hope that you will change the world. Why? Because again, some of you will say, how do we change the world anyway? Zeeland has not only provided you with the tools to be difference makers, but even more importantly, there are numerous ways in which it has been modeled for you. So what I want to point out are some of the ways in which your teachers and your peers have strived to make our schools and community better. Our desire to improve our communities each and every day is ultimately why we try to solve problems. Life constantly presents problems, and we all face difficult times. This world can be so heavy at times it needs fixing. I don't think you realize how much your teachers and peers have modeled our school's mantra, safe, valued, and loved. So I want to point it out. I want you to realize, and I hope you want to aspire to be like so many of your teachers. I've seen your teachers take collections for students that lack clothing or school supplies. I know of teachers who have taken collections for families when something tragic has happened. Your teachers have gone out of their way to help students they think are getting a raw deal. I've seen your teachers advocate for their students to make sure they have the same rights as their peers. I've seen teachers make meals for students when their family members are sick or in accidents. They have cried and talked with their students when the students have lost a parent or loved one, because teachers want to help carry your hurts. I know teachers that help students get jobs, write recommendations, and find them transportation. I know teachers who have tried to make sure their students were safe and had a place to call home. Still others have helped provide lunches and student lockers. I know teachers who come in after school, before school, and on weekends to provide extra help to their students. I know of teachers that have made visits to homes. When your teachers have come across problems that really matter to them, that they're passionate about, they simply try to solve them no matter the cost or sacrifice. They are awesome people because they care so much about you. Your peers have also made a difference in the community. They have held food drives, clothing drives, blood drives, clean water drives. They have advocated for one another. They have partnered with various charities in the community and affect change locally. I have heard numerous stories of students who have returned from communications retreats and have sought out new friendships. I can recall a specific student who recognized that there are some students that did not feel included. As a result, he committed himself to change the atmosphere. Many of you have also been involved in the Zeeland program, which partners mentor students with special education students. Many of you volunteer as coaches, mentors, and teachers in the community. You are already making a difference. We will miss you, and at the same time, we get very excited because we believe you're going to make this world better. We believe you're going to figure out how to take care of the abandoned, the poor, those that lack hope, those that are hurting, who are oppressed. We believe you will innovate, create, and spread joy. And you'll use the knowledge and you will remember the examples you obtained while in high school. I believe you will remember your family's love and the support of the community. You will recall your teachers' peers from kindergarten on up who cared about you, your friends, and the community of Zeeland. Finally, this world is pretty simple and has basic rules that lead to happiness. We could listen to all the messages and voices from our culture and the media that try to define success through social status, financial gain, and our appearance. But the truth is that there is a path that is so much easier and far more meaningful. Listen, gravity is pretty simple. It holds us to the planet. That's just the way it works. The rules for your happiness are pretty simple as well. First, to be content in life, simply be grateful for what you have. Perhaps that means just being happy the sun shines, or you have family and friends. Second, if you want to feel fulfilled, find ways to serve others. That applies to just about everything. That's why when students come back from mission trips and they talk about how they had no idea the ways in which the trip would impact them personally, I have heard that the words from a student, I thought I was serving others, but I was the one who came back totally changed, refreshed, and thankful. You each have unique sets of gifts and you matter. My dream would be that you would come back for a reunion someday and all of you would be talking and listening to each other. Tell about the different ways in which you brought joy to our world, sometimes a world that's filled with pain and hurt. And I hope you would recall that, yes, your educations were academically strong, but that they came with an expectation to be great. If you are using everything you have been given to make a difference, then I can promise that you will be great. Live life full and make the difference. Please come back and let us know how you're doing and what you're doing. We love you. Keep in touch, and congratulations, class of 2017.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Superintendent DeKuyper, the Board of Education, and I certify that these graduates have met all the requirements for graduation as set forth by the state of Michigan. Seniors, as your name is called by your teachers, you will join us on stage to receive your diploma, which will be handed to you by members of our school board. We are now be presenting your diplomas.
As we read the names of the graduates, we ask that you please refrain from using any noisemakers and save your applause for the end of each row. This row will be presented by Board President Ron Scott. Row 1, please stand. Jessica Walcott. Michael Van Dynen. Emily Pratt. Peter Lee. Anna Doremire. Austin Panavong. Erica Potter. Trenton Potter. Shelby Suits. Cameron Sucombe. Hannah Masters. Braden Bachman. Tran Nguyen. Ty Kindred. Tate Barnes. Jackson Barnes. Maya Durham. Anders Forrester. Madeline Hartman. Seth Vanderkoy. Grace Forster. Blake Sanders. Callie Cheek. Elijah Smith. Sophie Jarvis. Jacob Salas. Melissa Van Sloten. Zachary DeYoung. Brenna Widoven. Carter Haverdink. Please join me in congratulating this row of graduates. Row 1, you may be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Vice President Rick Dernberger. Row 2, please stand. Abigail Dannenberg. Lucas Berry. Jocelyn Boovy. Colin Grotenheis. Catherine Chain. Kellen Voss. Allison Sturkin. Colton Potter. Jack Hinken. Justin Terrell. Delaney Nienhuis. Trevor Terhar. Chloe Montgomery. Aaron Jones. Alyssa Musin. Kale Lewis. Gretchen Zweigheisen. Jack O'Neill. Lydia Freeman. Hunter Mott. Ishmael Romero. Matthew Skipper. Olivia Panazzo. Danon Evink. Mackenzie Palsrack. Trevor Dykstra. Anna Waymink. Jonathan Berghorst. Mally Moonsamung. George Quintero. Please join me in congratulating row 2. Row 2, you may be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Trustee Mark Snyder. Row 3, please stand. Michaela Greenland. Thomas Greco. Cami Lynn Inslee. Dustin Vootberg. Jalen Dawson. William Dawson. Mitchell Dinas. Joseph Ellenboss. Emerson Kroll. Eric Gutierrez. Audrey Kazda. Adam Morley. Haley Woodrick. Ian Nibelink. Tasia Zaharko. Kevin Michael. Sarah Medendorp. Isaiah Kiles. Morgan Vandenbosch. Samuel Tilden. Megan Latcha. Travis Ingelsman. Jesselyn Vandeweg. Nicholas Arnold. William Fleming. Brandon Gemmel. Emily Smith. Andrew Evers. Alec Hansen. Eric Headley. Please join me in congratulating row 3. Row 3, you may now be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Secretary Linda Bush. Row 4, please stand. Jasmine Denio. Devin Garcia. Nicole Barthel. Kyle Lacey. Benjamin Helmus. Jess Johnson. Liana Rotschafer. Carter Stockdale. Bethany McBride. Blaine Franks. Jennifer Wachowski. Trenton Holstag. Dana Bosman. Gabriel Trevino. Trevor Moore. Colton Mashiela. Richard Martin II. Jacob Morin. Montana Lloyd. Raymond Linton. Allison Smart. Tyler DeYoung. Tess Mashur. Jonathan Grundyke. Abigail Heisinger. Christopher Moss. Gavin Pettigrew. Sebastian Fimisane. Trenton Boltman. Jason Wheaton. Please join me in congratulating row 4. Row 4, you may now be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Treasurer Tom Denherter. Row 5, please stand. Kimber Buzzard. Zachary Dykstra. Austin Kennedy. Drew Kenyon. Hannah Schmidt. Graham Clark. Amelia Tuttle. Tyler Brower. Reagan Vancouvering. Caleb McCumber. Nicholas Kumenikoff. Michael Manichan. Brooke Gamby. Treston Cardux. Jared Plockmeyer. Zachary Redinger. Tyler Darling. Cody DeHaan. Zachary Ames. Jacob Burr. Megan South. Nathan Kempkers. Mary Bradford. Nicholas Bear. Macelyn Lava. Joshua Maney. Nicholas Byer. Logan Clark. Nicole Mashili. William Skiles. Please join me in congratulating row 5. Row 5, you can now be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Trustee April DeWitt. Row 6, please stand. Aaron Jipping. Benjamin Thomas. Amy Miller. Luke Borgelt. Jason Rennick. Bryce Prafke. Olivia Tenharmsel. Isaiah Eitvlucht. Zaisha Farrell. Gabriela Sandoval. Kiara Bandenix. Matthew Rausch. Saul Reyna. Oh. Brianna Messbergen. Mary Matthews. Sean Howard. Alex Rodenbeck. Stephanie Booby. Annie Heiser. Juliana de la Cruz. Huh? All right. You're laughing at me. Oh no. Jesus de la Cruz. Alyssa Fawcett. Tierra Beelan. Megan Pothoven. Nathaniel Pippin. Pip. Yay. Rachel Prince. Trisha Prince. Chloe Vischer. Alexander Libby. Please join me in congratulating row 6. Row 6, you may now be seated.
This row will be presented by Board Trustee Todd Brennan. Row 7, please stand. Micah Cuevas. Derek Chow. Blake Hulst. Timothy Vanderhaar. Rachel Zylstra. Alec Driesinga. Darcy Terhar. Curtis Turner. Andrew Hart. Matthew Carpenter. McKenna Griffhorst. Holly Nelson. Benjamin Snyder. Grant Spomer. Melina Poem. Bruce Fowler III. Elissa Vanderwall. Betsy Westraight. Caitlin Rhymes. Jana Baugh. Destiny Pryor Harper. Anthony Ramirez. Taylor DeLange. Austin Casco. Keaton Stahl. Alexander Staples. Taylin Goforth. Kenneth Gable. Emma Israels. Curtis Bauman. Please join me in congratulating row 7. Row 7, you may now be seated.
This row will be presented by Board President Ron Scott. Row 8, please stand. Tao Win. J.R. Intasan. Corinne Pepper. Andrew Reif. Riley Worm. Nicholas Bosch. Eli Walcott. William Walcott. Tiffany Gov. Casey Wasink. Chris Passavong. Eric Passavong. Jonathan Fieser. Zachary Happel. Dylan Kopp. Lillian Martini. Please join me in congratulating row 8. Row 8, you may now be seated.
What? Try again? Oh, okay. Well, hi everyone. Today is our day, class of 2017, and it's almost over. But before we begin our last and final address, I would like to introduce some very important people to you. If I could please have all the members of the Zeeland East Executive Board stand up. I would like to acknowledge the following: Michael Van Dynen, Erica Potter, Grace Forrester, and Austin Panavong. Now, can we just give these four just a big round of applause? They do so much. Okay, please have a seat. Also, on stage with me is our class of 2017 Student Senate. We have Shelby Suits, Seth Vanderkoy, Tran Nguyen, Tate Barnes, and Hannah Masters. Now, let's have another round of applause for these people. Okay, for the past 4 years, these individuals have worked tirelessly to plan every homecoming, every Winterfest, every pep assembly, every prom, and every fundraiser. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank Mr. Joe Guy for being our Senate advisor. He truly makes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. special and important, and he makes us all feel very valued and loved. So let's have a round of applause for Mr. Joe Guy.
Okay, just a second. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
It is now time for the final address before we part ways. So stick with me. If you think this ceremony is too long, just remember, we all have been here for the past 12 years. I once heard a saying, although the wind will scatter our petals, we must not forget that our roots will remain forever entangled. As we pass across this stage today, this saying could not be more relevant. We are both exiting and entering. We are bidding farewell to the roots of our existence thus far, and we are greeting the breeze which will scatter us to the corners of the earth. As each of us pursue our own unique path, we must not forget the things that connect us all, our roots in the town of Zeeland. We are all entangled, intertwined, and knotted in our experiences, our failures, and the collective process we have shared of growing up.
For many of us, the origins are in our roots of kindergarten. The connection began with crayons and glue, songs and games. Our roots are also intertwined in elementary school, intertwined in Foursquare and swing sets, multiplication, picture books, fifth grade camp, and first crushes. Knotted in middle school too, knotted in locker combinations and bus rides, acne and braces, knotted in band, choir, orchestra, sports teams, and timed miles.
We are tangled in high school, tangled in the fear of freshman year. The first homecoming, first dance concerts, first football games, first performances, first everything. Tangled in the belief that high school will last forever. We are tangled in the chaos of finding classes and getting lost. Pig dissections, first exams, and for some of us, myself included, getting pelted in the face with a snowball while walking the path.
Our roots are connected into our sophomore year. We are connected into driver's training, anything but flattering license pictures, and first speeding tickets. We are connected in first jobs. We are connected in the periodic table of elements and chemistry labs. We are connected by the one time the cow got loose in the path. Yes, we all remember. Connected in the growing, the developing, and the individualization that each of us have undergone, the becoming of a new person, our own person. We are connected in the growth. We are connected in the loss of a beloved classmate. Zachary James Kroll, we will always remember you.
Our roots are tangled in junior year, tangled in the difficult classes, standardized tests, and college visits, the varsity sports, the solo ensembles, the countless performances. We are tangled in our junior prom. We are tangled in bonfires, snow days, Friday night lights. We are tangled in first cars and curfews, cheering in the student section, Applebee's after the games, and the excitement of junior takeover day.
We are connected in all the memories of senior year, connected in preparation for the future, whether it be college applications, job interviews, or getting ready for basic training. We are connected in the senioritis, often characterized by sweatpants and messy hair, countless tardies, mid-class snaps, and spending way too much money at Petrino's. Our connection continues in the 3 a.m. trips to Good Time Donuts, senior spring breaks, and map ball games, our last school dance, our last football game and basketball game, the last dance or choir or band concert, the last everything, it seems like. We are connected in the graduation, the stage, the stadium, the caps and gowns, all of it.
And now it's almost over. We will move on. Our roots are tangled, but we have grown. We have changed, and now it is time for our petals to scatter in 219 different directions. Some of us will pack up our childhood room into boxes and leave the place we have called home for the past 18 years. Some of us will begin a job where we neither get to turn in late assignments nor get a tardy for showing up late. And some of us will go across seas to fight for our freedom. But no matter where the breeze takes us, our roots are connected here, in this stadium, in the auditorium, the classrooms, the gym, the city of Zeeland itself. Mrs. Knoth, please join me for the confirmation of our class. Graduates, please rise. Join me in turning your tassel from the right to the left to represent our graduation.
I hereby declare the class of 2017 to be graduates of Zeeland East High School. Congratulations, seniors. We have now come to the conclusion of the ceremony. Parents and guests, feel free to join your graduates on the field. Thank you.